Welcome to Prog Will Find a Way, our podcast all about progressive rock. I'm Jay Valade.
I'm Jonathan Block.
And today we're going to talk about the Marillion weekend 2025 in Montreal, Canada, that me and my family went to. And I'll just jump right into it.
Yeah, what start? I mean, you how long you got there? Any trouble
we basically
getting there?
drove from Connecticut to Montreal.
The
trouble at the border.
First day. I mean, did you go before?
Yeah,
or?
No, Friday morning we went, and it's a 3-day weekend. The first day is Marillion doing a Q&A with their manager, and then they had Life Signs and Lucid Street after that.
Okay.
Second day was Randy McStein opening, and then a full set from Marillion. And the third day was a duo called R&D, and they played kind of an ethereal keyboard,
Ambient
guitar,
kind of
ambient
thing.
sort of thing. And then a full set from Marillion.
Excellent.
So we arrived on Friday midday, or 2 o'clock, something like that, and went out to dinner, and then my wife and I did the Q&A.
Okay.
And it was an interesting thing because a lot of the build up, everybody wants to know what the merch is. What's the merch? On the Marillion fan base, right?
Yeah.
Because this is like their one time they come to the to North America every 2 years, and people want to get their stuff. So the band brings Montreal related items, and then some music, miscellaneous,
It's like their
solo
standard
project
stuff they sell, and then the site specific stuff for wherever they are that weekend.
So we got there, and the queue for the merch was, around the whole venue. First it's the line to get in, and then inside was just this giant merch line. So they closed the merch line down when they did the Q&A, and then opened it up afterwards. What they didn't tell everybody who wasn't in line was that they gave everybody in line numbers. So then when people started to reline up, they didn't tell them that there's all these people who have numbers.
So it was like a deli.
It was
the Marillion deli.
Yeah. Well, it was mayhem afterwards,
Okay.
because people were getting mad that they started to wait in line and missed the Q&A, not understanding that people who were watching the Q&A had numbers. And so we just left. We're like, oh, forget it. We'll get the merch tomorrow.
Okay.
So the next day, the
Q&A
Q&A was a lot of fun.
Anything come out of the Q&A?
Basically, it was the band up there, and then Lucy, their manager, asking them questions that had been sent in on the Marillion website for the weekend.
Did you send a question in?
I did not.
Okay.
But she asked that it not be like technical questions, but more fun, get to know the band kind of questions.
Right. Now, Steve Hogarth. No, Steve Rothery. What pickups did you use on the Fugazi album?
Yes. So. Nothing like that. More personal stuff, like who's
the funniest member of the band?
Right, that kind of thing. And then she did stuff like quotes that she pulled off their group chat. And, people had to figure out who it was. Had to figure out who said it. So it was just kind of funny. So that was good. Steve Hogarth was a little tipsy.
Quick question: Is the Q&A, is everything held in the same place? Is the Q&A the same place where the shows are? The theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're, they're up there on stage doing it, and Steve Hogarth is being kind of a little bit of a wise ass, and Lucy's like, "What's your shirt say?" And he opens up, says, "Sorry, Lucy," because he's
funny. That's funny.
But okay, so the next night we went.
How long was the Q&A?
Like 45 minutes, an hour.
Okay.
Something like that.
So they get off the band. The other bands come on.
Yes, they used to do 3 nights straight, and they're just like, we're getting too old to do 3 nights in a row.
Yeah, right.
So
which makes sense.
So the next day we got up, we did my whole family came this time.
Yep.
But they didn't go to all the shows. They just went to this Sunday. But my wife and I went to all 3
Okay.
nights. So I woke up in the morning, and we were walking around, and I noticed this venue right near our Airbnb that was like a music venue. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Later in the day, when we were walking around, there's this line formed, and I looked at who's actually playing there, and it was a Marillion tribute band, 2 of them, playing at this thing, and I was like, oh, that would be cool. And my whole family looked at me like you're pushing your luck already.
Like, Marillion, okay.
We're doing
band.
other things.
Yeah.
We'll see real Marillion, but we're not going to do a tribute band.
So so essentially it's nighttime. There's no Marillion stuff going on during the day, or is
during
there?
the day it's stuff like that. Like there's tribute band playing down the street from our Airbnb, and then people are getting together
but
at
it's
these
not
different
like, you know,
breweries.
but it's
like
not
that.
2:30 cooking with Ian Mosley.
No.
Okay, nothing like that. Okay,
No
face painting or anything like that.
No.
Okay,
But there are the other weekends they do more stuff like that.
that aren't in Montreal, or
the Port
just
Zealand weekend was
okay.
like they all go to this one place.
Gotcha.
And they have this whole kind of village, right?
Yep.
I don't know that any of the other cities they do that.
Right.
So that night
Okay.
that night we went. Randy McStein opened, and he is the guitar player. He has solo stuff, but he also was most recently the guitar player in Porcupine Tree. So, and he's going to be on Stephen Wilson's tour, and he plays on Stephen Wilson's album.
Okay.
So we saw a little bit of Randy's set, but I went to the merch line because of the mayhem from the day before, and basically everything was sold out. That I wanted.
You got a shirt.
So I got a shirt and I got a mug, but no hat, no scarf, no extra stuff.
All right.
Which was fine, but.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe in the future, maybe some will show up.
Well, good for them that they sold everything that they brought, but you know, so
have people still been online complaining about the whole merch sitch, or that was just
there was a bunch of grumbling the next day.
Okay,
so the people who had numbers were like, "Listen, I was waiting in the line for 45 minutes, and then they shut it down, so I should get my spot back."
Well, yeah,
I think the biggest complaint was no one told anybody in line.
Lack of communication.
Yes. That they need to get
very simple.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. That was that. So then Marillion came out, and they after Randy.
You're on your own for food and all that kind of stuff.
Oh
right?
yeah. We went out to dinner.
So you had dinner, and now you're psyched for whatever the Marillion's going to do that evening.
Yes. Okay. So that evening they played all of Marbles except 2 songs. And
double album, right?
Yeah, double album. And then they did
Sugar
Mice.
Why did they not do 2 songs? Is there a reason?
I think that Angelina has like a background vocalist that's a woman, and so they just left it off. But I don't know why they didn't do Drilling Holes.
Okay.
Which was the other song they didn't play. But they played everything else.
Okay.
And then they played King and Sugar Mice, and then King from Afraid of Sunlight as the encore.
Okay. Sugar Mice from
I enjoyed it, and Marbles is one of my favorite.
Okay,
albums,
good. And did you know that was coming, or this was all surprise?
All surprise.
Okay.
When they played Port Zealand previously, which was the first weekend, it was a 3-night thing over the course of, I think, 4 days. And I got all those set lists.
Okay.
But I knew they were going to be condensing those 3 nights into 2. So I didn't.
Okay.
We didn't know what they were.
Were they playing Did they play all of Marbles at other shows? Okay. All right. So you got all of Marbles.
Yes.
A couple other tunes.
Yep. So it was. I thought it was great. The grumbling online the next morning was unbelievable.
Why?
I don't like Marbles. I can't believe I spent all this money to come all the way up to Montreal. Blah blah blah.
Isn't that considered like one? That was their classic return to form album, right?
Whatever.
What do they want?
You're gonna get what you're
right. Well, yeah. I mean, you know.
Plus, why don't you watch the whole weekend and then review it at the end, so you get off instead of the very next morning when you know the band is on this webpage,
right?
Sitting there complaining about it,
right?
It's kind of, you know. I know it's squeaky wheel and everything.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, if I'm the band, I'm like, you know.
Guess what? We're going to play Marbles again tonight. we saw everybody online loved it so much. We're going to do it again.
Well, a bunch of people liked it, but then there were people jumping onto the bandwagon of the small.
Fans are the best, and they're the worst.
Yeah. So it was an interesting take. Okay. I just thought it was kind of reading that. I was just kind of, you're kind of ruining it, the vibe.
I don't know. Anyway.
Okay. So then the next day.
But you liked the show. You were like, this
the show was great. Yeah.
Okay.
They are getting older, but you know, whatever.
Aren't we all?
Are.
Yes. Okay, so you go to bed, you wake up, you've done. Okay, so what did you? Nothing Marillion during the day.
Nothing Marillion during the day, but it was raining all day.
Okay.
Then we went to the
Sugar Mice in the Rain.
Yes, we were. So then we went the next night.
Daddy took a rain check. All right. Sorry.
Then all of us went to the show the next.
Okay. So this is the big show.
This is the big show.
And
so
no one knows what to expect.
no one knows what they're going to play, except they aren't going to be playing anything from Marbles. And they're
It
not gonna...
really would have been cool if they came out and just started playing the first song like they're doing it again. If you're listening, Marillion. My suggestion for a future weekend.
So the kids came this time. So my son, his wife, and my daughter came with my wife and I, and we all got our spot. And
was it standing?
It's all standing.
Wow.
Yes. So my kids are here. Actually.
All right. Yeah. Let's get some.
So we're gonna get
another
some
viewpoint.
feedback.
Some feedback.
Wow. From the kids.
Some room here.
Wow, this
Hello,
is
Prog
so
heads.
special.
It's kind of surreal. I mean, being here, I've seen it so many times on YouTube, and the fact that you are able to build this replica of my childhood home on its is wild. So thank you for having me. And
Yeah, we're honored to be
This-
here. You know,
this-
I am a regular listener. Every single week, it's like clockwork.
It's a Prog family.
I forgot.
Lies, I tell you.
I'm pretty sure I was the most recent subscriber. Just
There you go.
So this is Matt, and this is Aaron.
Hello.
Hi.
This was my wife and I have liked Marillion since I've liked it longer than my wife, but since like 1989, when Steve Hogarth first joined the band, was when my wife became a fan. Right?
What about you?
I was.
You were a fan before.
Yeah, I was. Misplaced Childhood was my first album from them. But the kids have never. I mean, we talked about. My wife and I have gone to see them so many times over the years. But the kids,
Constantly playing in the house.
the kids have never seen them, and they're always like, "I don't know, I'll do the Yes thing, but Marillion, I don't know."
There's a threshold.
So I'm like, well, if you're coming and I'm paying for the Airbnb, you're coming, you have to go to one of the nights just so you could see it, because I don't know if they'll ever be back again. And so,
And good for us. We signed up for the night that was
And it's
the
a fair deal.
ethereal
There you go.
opening act.
Yeah. R&D.
R&D.
So R&D comes out, and the guy's playing the keyboards. This is a song about the oceans, and it's a two-parter. It's about the oceans and then about the desert. And he starts playing this thing, and the guy's playing the guitar in the back, and then Steve Rothery comes out, and he plays a little bit on one of their songs. And it's just kind of very mellow and low key.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like what's that Marillion? Remember they did that album that was very ethereal. The
like a remixing kind of thing.
You remember? But this was years ago.
Yeah. This is more. I don't know.
Don't they have a song called "The Ocean" too? or
I was
something
just
with
going to
the
say, is there an
in it?
ocean
Ocean
song?
Cloud.
Okay.
That's from Marbles, which they played.
Oh, they had
Not Marbles.
Okay. But that's ethereal tune too, right? It's got a bit in there.
They're bits and pieces.
All right,
But
anyways.
anyway, this is all instrumental, and I'm getting the looks from both sides. And my daughter-in-law was very nice and did not complain.
Well, verbally to you.
Not even with her eyes. Like,
Okay.
Others got the eyes.
Yeah.
So then,
The eyes for me.
Marillion comes out, and I'm like, you guys are gonna love this. This is so good. And I'm still getting the sure we will, Dad. So they played a full set of songs from across their career, which was great.
So what was the theme? Was there a theme?
There was no theme.
Okay.
It was kind of taking all the leftover songs from the 3 nights of the previous weekend and
Okay.
kind of combining them into one thing. Matt had some songs that he wanted to hear that they didn't play one of them, but they did play another one. So
Yeah.
Which one?
he wanted them to play Go,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's a good
right.
tune.
which
That's
they
great.
did not play.
Okay.
Which was a shame.
Is that
But,
.com or Radiation?
I think
It's one of those two. I
Something
like
is-
both those albums.
but they opened with
Slouches.
yeah,
Okay.
which was awesome.
Right.
And so I'm like, just get ready. I don't know what they're going to open with. It could be anything, but it, could be Steve Hogarth coming out. He did Invisible Man the night before, which is kind of, he comes out and it's really kind of mellow start. This was right into it. And what'd you think?
What a diva. I love that man. I just wasn't expecting it. And he blew me away. What a performer. His outfit changes? Come on. Matt probably enjoyed it more than me. I mean, I also was a victim of the Marillion plague / flu that apparently happened at Marillion weekend.
Wow.
So I was getting sick. But I did make it through like 75% of it. And it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you go back if you had the opportunity?
I was saying to Matt last night or 2 nights ago that I'll watch any live music. Like I'm pretty happy watching live music. I'll bob my head. I'll have a good time. That was like top tier. You love it. You and Mom love it. Matt likes it. So I enjoy it. The opener, not for me. But we have thresholds. We have it.
Right.
Steve Hogarth, the performer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not dyeing his hair anymore, right? Is that
Correct. He's totally
He's
great.
leaning
He's
into it.
embraced his.
Yes.
I mean, they're great.
Yeah.
Matt?
I really liked it. I thought they were. I didn't really know what to expect at all.
No.
Sometimes there's bands that doesn't really translate into live music as much. I feel like with a lot of prog bands, they're musicians first. They're like great musicians. So I had faith, but I just didn't really know. I've listened to a lot of. My dad has a lot of live music things and videos and DVDs, and we watch them relatively constantly, and he always has them on. But I don't know if I've seen that many Marillion ones compared to like the Yes ones, and I feel like Porcupine Tree you'll put on. And I love Porcupine Tree.
Do you have any of the videos, like the live?
I'm so sure
Of Marillion?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I just feel like
I have tons.
we've done a lot of the videos, and I don't feel like we've spent a lot of time really digging into Marillion.
You just opened the door.
Oh my God, wait. I gotta go.
The uninvited guest.
Careful what you wish for.
No, but I thought the set list was also great, and it hit a lot of the touch points of the songs that I actually do know relatively well compared to the deeper cuts of their discography, which is plentiful.
Well, I think I discussed last time my wife and I went to the last weekend.
Last year, or 2 years ago?
Yeah, they did like the full new album at the time, which was An Hour Before It's Dark.
Yep.
And then they did one that was kind of a mix of hits and others. And then the third night was like the deep cuts night.
Right.
And at the time, because I hadn't seen them in so long, I was a little, because my wife didn't know some of the deep cuts as much, it wasn't as engaging, but I appreciate that they did it. This one was more, I mean,
It looks like it's
uninvited
well
guests. They did
known as
Easter
Easter
Holloway Girl from Season's End. Then they did Beautiful. They did Script for Jester's Tear, which was I thought awesome.
Yeah.
They did Kaylee, Lavender, Bittersweet,
Sweet.
Heart of Loathing.
Almost
They did
so that's the first.
almost
side.
the first first side.
That's pretty good.
Of
Interesting.
Misplaced
Yeah.
Childhood. Then they did The Space, Afraid of Sunlight, and then they did Wave, Mad, and Great Escape from the Brave album.
Okay.
Right, and that was the end of the set.
Yeah.
And then they came back and they did the New Kings from the Fear album.
Right.
I don't think that resonated with these guys as much because you don't
Aaron
know.
was still there at that point.
You were in the
Can
back.
I see the set list? I was
It
leaving.
was it was the first encore. It was the one all about the New Kings and fuck everyone and run.
I think that's when I was like getting our jackets.
All right. They're not coming back.
No, but I was listening because when was the crow situation?
Oh, that was the next one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was still there.
You're in the
I was
building.
just in the back.
Yeah.
I had to keep myself
But
moving.
the New Kings is like a 20-minute long song, which for a non-diehard is a tough swallow.
Yeah, I think
Right,
that
yeah.
was like my cue to go get the.
Yeah, because you weren't feeling well.
Yeah.
So then encore number 2 was The Crow and the Nightingale from the Hour Before It's Dark album, Man of Thousand Faces from The Strange Ending,
Yeah.
and Care from the hour before it started,
Okay.
which was good. And then they came back again and they
One
did the
minute.
Levers from the
Fear?
Fear album.
Okay. Wow.
The
How long
Levers,
was
the
show?
Levers is a really long song, but they just did the truncated part. We're all one tonight, and then they did, the confetti and the whole thing.
And-
One of the things I was a little disappointed about was there was no visuals. The light show was really nice, but normally they have some sort of
Screen
video
or something.
screen and things are playing,
Yeah.
but they didn't have that this year, which enhances the performance. But I think that it was probably good for you guys because you were paying attention to the band more than
Yeah.
you would be paying attention to the
I loved the
video
the
screen.
lights changing from the
beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful.
How long was the show total?
The show was I think it says 9:15 to 10 to 11:20.
Okay, so
For-
almost 2.5 hours.
Depends on who you ask. Time is
It
subjective.
sounds like I didn't enjoy it. I did. I thought that they were great, and I mean, I have a. For those that are listening, I have a musical theater background, and I really appreciated Steve Hogarth's performance. Like
Yeah.
he is a performer.
Yeah.
He's so theatrical.
Yeah, he's way in. Yeah, and it's great. And the band, it's kind of funny because he is so out there. The band is pretty.
Not like they're just
Quiet.
chilling.
Right.
They are chilling. Occasionally, there's a smile or a smirk or a whatever back and
Yeah, they
forth
had like
from each
they
other.
had like little moments.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
but
they're
there's
elevated, so it's
yeah,
that's fun.
but there's not a lot of interaction or chatting between the band on stage with the audience.
So
or
were
anything.
you happy with the show, with the set list?
Oh, I loved
yeah?
it. I thought it
It
was
was
great.
perfect for us.
The
too,
only
I
thing
think.
that is missing, because they did, and on the other shows, they did play Go, and I would have loved that because that's one of my favorites of theirs. But
Maybe next time.
yeah,
2 years.
yes,
Maybe.
Marillion's also one of those bands that we've heard forever that I'm not like. There's some bands that we grew up with, like Yes, and some others where it's like I know the songs,
Right.
Like a song comes on, I can identify what song it is, but Marillion's never been that for me, where I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. I mean, that's a bad
Right.
example, but it was cool because like I knew the songs, but I wouldn't be like, oh, it's this song that's
Right.
on, but I knew
From this
them
album.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which always helps when you're seeing a band that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
To have some sort of familiarity
Touch
with,
point.
People just sing along.
even if you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's the same on both sides.
So Matt has a band.
I do have a
Oh.
band. Yeah. Bagel,
Yes.
which is like bagel, but it's not really.
You should spell that for
Oh,
folks.
it's spelled
We'll have a link in the description. So.
BAJZELLE.
Obviously.
And we always say you can't spell Bagel without JZ.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Great.
But you're Jay-Z cover. You're Jay-Z prog rock cover band.
There you go.
That's not true.
That is not true.
That's not true.
Psych rock? What
It's like psych rock. Yeah, it's like King Gizzard is our closest touch point. I'd
Yeah.
say.
Got it.
Nice.
So did you appreciate the musicianship of the band?
Totally, yeah. I mean, they played a lot harder than I thought they were going to. I always kind of had this misconception, I guess, of Marillion being one of the more slow, like more calm kind of prog rock bands. They're not as like massive, in my mind, in my memory. The songs that I know of theirs, like Beautiful, are a little more like relaxed, and I think even like their older ones,
Like
like the Fishy songs, are a little more like that classical prog rock.
Yeah.
What you think of, like that sound, that prog sound, and the more neo prog stuff is a little less, but they played hard and they're really great. I love Pete, and I'm a bassist, so he rocked it, he held it down.
Nice.
And they're
So-
getting old. Yeah, they're getting old, but I mean, they're still
Yeah.
They
great.
can
They
still bring
still-
it. Still
yeah.
around.
Yeah. So after Aaron wasn't feeling well, so she and my wife left, and then they
Blame the Marillion fans. Just kidding, everyone.
then the
was it like
we
pulling out
then we left but then I think the band came out and mingled
Oh.
with people
Oh,
at the
okay.
end for
Oh,
like
so we're
45 minutes.
blaming.
Were you there? Were you? Oh, you didn't stay. Did you mingle? Or no?
No, because
Oh, you
Because
went
Aaron
on.
was-
Oh,
yeah.
no, Aaron left, and then Matt,
No, you
Megan,
guys wanted crepes.
Meg, and I
Oh.
left.
I know.
but I didn't want to just hang back because they were gonna
Right,
go out and
yeah.
get food, and I wasn't gonna just do that alone. Thumbs up. The band played great. They sounded awesome.
Yeah,
The energy was extra high. Aside from the naysayers on on the Marillion Weekend Facebook page. I thought it
Facebook
was
page is
fantastic.
just wild. People go crazy on there.
They do. And then then we packed up the next morning and left and got over the border fine. Everything was easy.
So the show's over. Good night. Weekend's over. See you next time. Is that
Yep,
it? That's
that's
it.
it.
That's the
That
end
is
of the
the
weekend.
end. So we stopped in Saratoga and went to Treehouse Brewery, which just opened there on our way back.
Oh, wow.
Also, the
Okay.
border control guy was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard about Marillion
Oh,
Weekend."
yeah. Oh,
You
so
know?
funny, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, so how are you all related? And we're like, we're family. He's like, okay, what were you doing in Montreal? And we're like, we went to a concert. He goes,
Brilliant guy. That would be
he goes,
classic.
you have to be like, you know,
He's like
50th person-
68% of the
Really?
people coming through. Yeah.
are all coming from
How
this
big was
Marillion
this place?
concert.
Or everybody left at the same
2,500.
Yeah,
Okay.
everyone
He's
like,
right,
freaked
yeah.
out
I
at
don't
the
know.
same time. Here's
But-
mom like worried because I was coming from France and she was like, "Don't ask
Oh.
questions about this." He's just like, "So how's the concert?"
Wow.
So then on the webpage, there people are all commenting on that. He's like, yeah, our border guy was like, what did you come to see? And they're like, it's of course, it's always prog rock.
Wow. Okay.
and then
It's entertaining.
a lot of people did get sick.
Yeah.
What really?
They're all
Okay.
commenting.
Oh.
They're like, I'm
I
finally better. Yours only lasted a day.
Well, I went to urgent care and I got Tamiflu,
Okay.
so that helped.
Makes a difference, right?
It was like 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
but worth it for Marillion. Would do it again.
No, it was great.
So
It was
it's will be Marillion Weekend 2027.
well,
Did they say anything
they
about
asked
it?
about that, and she said, Lucy said people have been asking about the weekends and stuff, and she had said that this was probably the last Montreal weekend,
Oh,
but she said that doesn't mean we're not coming back to Montreal.
okay.
But if we do a weekend again, it might be in Toronto so that we could get a seated venue, because
People are getting old.
we've heard from a lot of people
Is that-
the standing around for 4 hours
Is-
every night is
For you, is Toronto worse or
Worse.
Okay.
Yeah, worse.
Okay, so you have to fly for that. You think?
potentially it's an
Okay.
8.5 hour drive.
Versus the 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Have you been to Toronto?
I have not.
it's very
I like it
nice.
there. I
Yeah,
like
I've been
it.
there.
I mean,
but-
I was snowed in there like for 2 days. I haven't really spent that much time there, but
So
a new city to check off the list.
that's true.
Well, we have to wait and see if they're actually going to come back.
Right.
Why
Well-
why are they going to Canada, not the U.S.? Like, why do that instead of like Chicago?
I'm sure it is a visa
Okay.
and
Yep.
it's money. I'm sure it's money.
I'm sure it's money.
If they're only coming for a weekend.
Right.
And they have to
Right.
wreck all their stuff
Right.
over and all this,
So I guess we'll officially start our Marillion
countdown.
countdown, our Marillion 2027 weekends watch. I don't think
Start
it's
the
a
ticker.
countdown. Well, I mean, we had a Close to the Edge box set watch, and it
It
came.
just showed up.
So you never know.
you
Info
go.
may be forthcoming before you know it.
We'll see it.
So,
But
Okay.
they're in Paris now for so they're doing all.
is this the last one, or
No, this is the third,
Oh,
and
wow.
there's like 10.
That's
and
crazy.
you're not going any others?
No.
Okay, I don't know. Just trying to gauge how big a fan you are.
Wow.
And there were no Marillion record store day exclusives either.
No.
No.
I don't know if Marillion has ever
I
really
don't believe
done
I've had-
a record store day.
Maybe if they
So
release
they're-
something new.
Well, they're not on like a
Major label.
Major
That's
label?
true. Yeah. So
Does
I think-
Yes have one every time?
they will now.
currently, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How fun for you. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I've only done
See?
I've only done a couple of them.
Well, they didn't have anything before.
No, they did. They had like a
Many
90125. They had a Tormato picture disc. They had a first album, blue vinyl. They've
Wow.
had many
Okay.
over the course of time. I just have never.
Right. Somehow. Yale Bowl was the
Yale Bowl was the starter.
That was it. That was the motivator.
Yeah.
Was that
All
2
right.
years? Okay, sorry. We'll take this one offline.
All right. So Marillion Weekend, I guess, a success. Sounds like everybody
Yes.
had a good time.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Great time. Great city.
Whether or not
Love
was
that city.
yeah, Montreal is a lot of fun.
If you ever need a good itinerary for Montreal, we have one in the family.
Yeah.
Matt
is a
Matt
good
Blade.
Matt,
There you go.
Matt Valade is a good trip planner and We had many options all day long.
Now they typically release something from one of the weekends, right?
Oh yeah, I have the Blu-rays of the last.
Right.
It was Port Zealand that they did.
So will it be like, the Marbles and another show, or you don't know what they'll do?
I don't know
how
what
they
they've
do?
taped and what they
Okay.
haven't taped, but
All right.
I didn't see anybody.
You didn't say taping in Montreal.
I didn't see people filming or doing
Yeah.
anything there.
Okay.
So
All right. That's great.
we'll see.
So we'll talk about it when it gets announced.
Absolutely.
Sure, something will. So
Prog will find a way.
if you wanted
If you
to.
wanted to.